Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. 2 years ago I had my front of my property filled in with about 40 loads of dirt, and the guy was generous enough to push it around with a little bulldozer. And then after that I had a couple more piles of dirt delivered that I would do myself to fill in and around the driveway. There's 2 big piles of dirt here, and one of my neighbors has a Kubota tractor, and I had him spread it out, which costs quite a bit of money. There's a minimum charge, a float charge and all that. And so I figured I'd look for something for my ATV that I can do later on. And he left it a little high on the one side towards the neighbors, which was too high. It was about 1.5 feet too high. Before, didn't record, or half of it was corrupted. So I got the after shot. So some context here. I went about 1.5 feet down, so 1.5 feet lower. At first I tried just using the blade to push it into the low spots, and it wasn't working. Like I said in previous videos, this dirt is mostly sand, so it packs down pretty hard. So you can see here with the shovel, I just was trying to break it up, and I had to remove some dirt that I use in my driveway. Now this here would slope down, and it's hard to tell, but I went down 1.5 feet, so the entire width of a spade shovel, it was humped up and it sloped down into the cedar bushes where the telephone pole is, or the hydro pole. So I ended up just taking a full spade shovel depth, so that's about 1 foot, and just tossing it over. Again, I tried to back up with the blade and just scrape it forward, but it didn't work at all. It was more frustrating than anything. It hardly even penetrated the ground. So that's why I had to take the shovel. I shoveled it out. I threw it over top just to bring that area up. And then I figured I might as well use the chisel plow to try to break that all up. So you'll see here that I just shoveled it over. You can sort of see the height difference. And here I'm just using the chisel plow. I'm just going to start breaking it up just to loosen up the dirt. That way there I can go in after and get the blade. You can see how high it is on that side and how it sloped down to the cedars. Like I said, I used about 1.5 feet, a full width of a spade blade, and filled up the back side where that pole is and the cedars. And now I'm just taking the chisel plow, which worked very well. Taking the chisel plow, just loosening up all the dirt so I can come in after with the blade, back up, put the blade, and then just pull it forward. First I was just backing up, putting the chisel plow down and then going forward, but then it was taking quite a bit of time. The electronic actuator is pretty slow, so I figured I would just drive around and lower it and just keep sort of going around in circles instead of backing up, going forward, lifting it, backing up, going forward. You see here I stopped because I don't want to tear up the actual good lawn, the grass. You can sort of tell by the angle of my four-wheeler how much it dips down in that one corner. So it's a very high side, and all the water pushes down to where I am now and makes a big puddle. So I basically want to take the high side and push it back down to where my four-wheeler is now. That's the low spot. But I also still want to keep it higher on the neighbor's side so that the water will run down towards my driveway instead of into his yard. Here I'm just grabbing the camera just so you can get a good look. This was packed down pretty hard. It was almost like cement. You can see how well this chisel plow works. You can see by the dirt line that I'm pretty much 3/4 of the way up the chisel. And in some areas, it goes a little bit lower and it doesn't have a problem just tearing through. See how deep I am there. Every now and then my bike would struggle. I just give it a little bit more gas and it pulled through no problem. After going around in circles, I ended up losing one of the chisels. The spring clip doesn't hold on all that well. You can see here I started pulling it. I started hearing a metal sound, and then that's when I noticed I was pulling one of the chisel plows. Now I just have to go look for that clip, which I didn't think I was going to find, but I ended up having a magnet in my shed. So I ended up using that and ended up finding it. So you got to make sure those spring clips, one way they don't really touch on the spring doesn't touch the stud, but on the other way it does. So you have to make sure that you have that flipped the right way so it's nice and tight. Here's just a different angle, just so you can see. Just basically going around in circles. Just loosening up all the dirt, preparing it for the blade. Notice how I still have to have that strap on the back. That's just because it's so damn heavy. So now basically all I'm doing, now that I have it all chewed up, you can see how much lower it is just from chewing all that dirt up. So I'm just basically putting the blade down, dragging it all over to where it's low, and I'll slow down and I'll raise the actuator to sort of dump the dirt. It was just taking way too long backing up and dragging it forward, lifting the blade, backing up, dragging it forward. I figured I would just drive around and then slowly put the blade down and then pull it forward. You see how I'm taking a pretty good bite. It does move a lot of the dirt. Like I said in previous videos, if this was just topsoil, it would work very good. But this is very packed, sort of clay dirt, so it's not as easy as topsoil. But and here I'm having another issue with the switch. I'm not sure if there's, I don't think it's a connection issue. I was feeling to see if it was getting warm. I was starting to wonder if it would shut off just from raising and lowering it without allowing it to cool off, because the connections, it never moves. So I'm not sure if there's sort of a circuit in there that prevents it from overheating. Or it could be just a bad connection. But there you see I filled with it and started to work again, so I wasn't sure. It takes quite a bit of dirt. I was really digging it down. I had to spin my tires a few times. And then as I get to the low spot, I'm just raising the blade and dumping it off, and then I'll basically just go around in circles leaving the blade in one spot and smoothing it out. This took quite a while. I was at this for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, back and forth, and then just started doing donuts around the yard just to smooth it out. You can sort of see still how much higher it is on that one side, just by the way the angle of my four-wheeler when I drive back and forth. Here's somewhat of the after shot. This was basically the angle that I got in the first place, but like I said, for whatever reason it was corrupted. I believe it's because the camera shut off because I ran out of battery and I never thought of re-recording it. This is how smooth that side is. And this is where the grass has grown. Overall, very impressed with the Black Boar implements. I have a pretty big property, so I'm going to put it to some good use. I feel it was a good investment. I do think it's overpriced for what it is, but hey, I purchased it, so supply and demand. Whenever I get some gravel, I'm going to reuse it for that too. Whenever I get some topsoil, I'm going to use it for that as well. So yeah, if you thought this was helpful, let me know below and make sure you subscribe. See you guys on the next one.